talking about? What figures? What rhyme?
10 little soldier boys going out to dine. One choked his little self, and then there were 9. 9 little soldier boys sat up very late. One overslept himself, and then there were 8.
8 little soldier boys traveling in Devon. One said he stayed there, and then there were 7.
Ladies and gentlemen, silence, please. You are charged with these indictments, that you did respectably and at diverse times commit the following. Edward Armstrong, that you did cause the death of Louisa Mary Cleese. William Henry Bloor, that you brought about the death of James Stephen Lendor. Emily Caroline Brent, that you were responsible for the death of Beatrice Taylor. Vera Elizabeth Claythorne, that you killed Peter Ogilvy Hampton. Philip Lombard, that you were guilty of the deaths of 21 men, members of an East African tribe. John Gordon Mackenzie, that you sent your wife's lover, Arthur Richmond, to his death. Anthony James Marston, that you were guilty of the murder of John and Lucy Combs. Thomas Rogers and Ethel Rogers, that you brought about the death of Jennifer Brady. Lawrence John Wargrave, that you were guilty of the murder of Edward Setting. Prisoners at the bar, have you anything to say in your defense?
Somebody help me! Someone, please! 1, 2, 3.
She needs her. Boy. It's nothing much. She's fainted, that's all. She'll be round in a minute. Somebody get some brandy.
Rogers, get some brandy!
Who was that speaking? It sounded
What's
like...
going on here? What kind of practical joke is this?
Where the devil did that voice come from? Here we are.
That you did respectably and at diverse times commit
Oh,
the
turn it
following.
off! Turn it off! It's horrible!
We're going to be having a It's a disgraceful and heartless practical joke.
So you think it's a joke, do you?
Well, what else could it be?
Well, at the moment, I'm not prepared to give an opinion.
Who the devil turns it on, though, and set it going?
Well, we must inquire into that.
Oh, dear me! Dear me!
Allow me, miss. Allow me, sir, if I speak to her. Ethel, it's all right. Do you hear? Let's put yourself together.
You'll be all right, Mrs. Rogers. Just a bit of a nasty turn.
Did I faint, sir?
Yes.
Was the voice? The awful voice! Like a judgment!
Where's the brandy? Here, drink this, Mrs. Rogers.
I'm all right now. I just gave me a turn.
Of course it did. Gave me a turn as well. Wicked lies it was. I'd like to know whose idea it was.
Who was it that put that record on the ground, Tom? Was it you, Rogers?
I was just obeying orders, sir.
Whose orders?
Mr. Owens, sir.
Let me get this quite clear. Mr. Owen's orders were what, exactly?
I was to put a record on the gramophone in the study, and I'd find the records in a drawer in there. I was to start with that one. I thought it was just to give you all some music.
Well, a very remarkable story.
It's the truth, sir. Before heaven, it's the truth. I didn't know what it was, not for a moment. It had a name on it. I thought it was just a piece of music.
Is there a title?
The title? Yes, sir. It's entitled Swan Song.
The whole thing's preposterous. Flinging around accusations like this. Something has to be done about it. This Owen fellow, whoever he is...
That's just it. Who is he?
That is exactly what we must go into, but very carefully. I should suggest that you get your wife to bed, Rogers, and then come right back here.
Yes, sir.
I'll give you a hand.
Will she be all right, Doctor?
Yes, quite all right.
I don't know about you, sir, but I feel I need another drink.
Oh, I agree. whiskey, please.
I should like a glass of water. Of course. I'll get it. I could use some whiskey myself.
She'll be all right. I've given her a sedative.
Now then, Doctor, you'll want to drink after all this.
No, thank you. I never touch it.
You'll take this one, General?
Now then, Rogers, we must get to the bottom of this. Tell us what you know about Miss Allen.
He owns this place, sir.
Well, I'm well aware of that fact. What I want you to tell me is what you yourself know about the man.
I can't say, sir. I've never seen him.
What do you mean you've never seen him?
We've been here just under a week, sir, my wife and I. We were engaged by letter through a registry office. The Regina in Plymouth.
That's a high-class firm. We can check on that.
Have you got that letter?
The letter engaging us. Yes, sir.
Go on with your story.
There is no more story. I mean, we arrived like the letter said on the 4th. And everything was well in order, plenty of food in stock, and everything very nice. Just needed dusting and
What next?
we got orders to prepare the rooms for a house party. 8. And then yesterday I received another letter by morning post saying that Mr. and Mrs. Owen might be detained. And if so, we was to do the best we could. And they gave instructions about dinner and putting on the gramophone record. Here it is, sir.
Headed to his hotel on Piper.
Coronation machine number 5. Quite new. No defects. Ensign paper. Most common make. We might try it for fingerprints, but it's been handled too much. We won't get much out of this.
Quite the little detective.
Let me have a look here. Got some fancy Christian names, has me. Ulick Norman Owen? Quite a mouthful.
Oh, I'm obliged to you, Mr. Marston. You have drawn my attention to a very curious and suggestive point. I think that the time has come for all of us to pool our information regarding our unknown host. We are all his guests, and I think it would be profitable if each one of us were to explain exactly how that came about.
There's something very peculiar about all of this. I received a letter with a signature that was not very easy to read. It purported to be from a woman whom I had met at a certain summer resort 2 or 3 summers ago. I took the name to be Ogden. I'm quite certain I've never met or become familiar with anyone of the name Owen.
Have you got that evidence, right?
Yes, I will fetch it for you.
Miss Claythorne?
I never met Mrs. Owen. I wanted a holiday post. I applied to a secretarial agency, Grenfell's in London. I was offered this post and accepted.
And you were never interviewed by your prospective employer?
No. This is the letter.
Soldier Island, Sticklehaven, Devon. I received your name from Miss Grenfell's agency. I understand she knows you personally. I shall be glad to pay you the salary you ask, and shall expect you to take up your duties on August 8th. The train is the 12:10 from Paddington, and you will be met at Oakbridge Station. I enclose £5 for expenses. Yours truly, Una Nancy. Mr. Monson.
Personally, don't really know the Owens. Got a
wire from a pal of mine, badge at Berkeley. Told me to roll up here. Strange, though. I thought the old horse had got to Norway. I haven't got the wire.
Thank you. Dr. Armstrong?
Well, in the circumstances, I think I should admit my visit here was strictly professional. Mr. Owen wrote me that he was worried about his wife's health. Her nerves, to be precise. He did not wish her to be alarmed, however. He therefore suggested that my visit should be seen as that of an ordinary guest.
Well, you had no previous acquaintance with the family.
No.
But you had no hesitation in obeying the summons?
Well, a colleague of mine was mentioned. A very handsome fee was suggested. It's in need of a holiday anyways.
Dear Miss Brent, I do hope you remember me. We were together at Belhaven Guest House in August some years ago, and we seem to have so much in common. I'm starting a guest house of my own on an island off the coast of Devon. I think there is really an opening for a place where there is good plain English cooking and a nice old-fashioned type of person. None of this nudity and gramophones half the night. I should be very glad if you could see your way to spending your summer holiday on Soldier Island as my guest, of course. I suggest August 8th, 12:40 from Paddington to Oak Ridge. Yours sincerely, UN. Yes. The signature is slightly ambiguous.
I like that nudity touch.
And here is my own decoy letter. A dear friend of mine, Lady Constance Cummington. Now she writes in her usual vague and incoherent way, urges me to join her here, and refers to her host and hostess in the vaguest of terms.
Look here, I just thought of something.
In a minute.
But
No, we will take one thing at a time, if you don't mind, Captain Lombard. General Mackenzie.
I got a letter from this fellow Owen. Thought I must have met him sometime at the club. Mentioned some of the cronies who were meant to be here. Hope I'd excuse the informal invitation. Haven't kept the letter.
And you, Captain Lombard?
Oh, same sort of thing. Invitation mentioning mutual friends. I didn't get the letter either.
Just now, we had a somewhat disturbing experience. An apparently disembodied voice spoke to us each by name, uttering certain definite accusations against us. Now, we will get to those accusations presently, but at the moment, I'm interested in a minor point. Now, among the names listed was that of a William Henry Law. But, so far as we know, there are none of us here by that name. The name Davis is not mentioned. Now, what have you got to say about that, Mr. Davis?
Cat's out of the bag, it seems. Guess I'd better admit, my name's not Davis.
You are William Henry Law?
That's right.
I will add something to that. Not only are you here under a false name, Mr. Bloor, but I've also noticed this evening that you were a first-class liar. You claim to have come from Natal, South Africa. I know South Africa and Natal quite well, and I'm prepared to swear you have never set foot there in your life.
You gentlemen have got me wrong. I'm an ex-CID man.
Oh, a copper.
I've got my credentials and I can prove it. I run a detective agency in Plymouth. I was put on to this job.
By who?
Why, Mr. Owen sent a very nice money order for expenses and said I was to join the party, posing as a guest.
And any
He
reason?
also sent me a list of all your names and told me I was to keep an eye on you all.
Any reason given?
Said Mrs. Owen has got some valuable jewels. Mrs. Owen, my foot. I don't believe there is any such person.
Your conclusions are, I think, justified. You look Norman Owen, Una Nassau. Each time, that is to say, you and Owen, or by a slight stretch of the fancy, unknown.
But it's fantastic! Mad!
Oh, yes. I have no doubt in my mind that we have been invited here by a madman. Probably a homicidal lunatic. God. Whoever it is who has enticed us here, that person has taken the trouble to find out a great deal about us. A very great deal. And out of his knowledge concerning us, he has made certain definite accusations.
It's all very well to make accusations, but we better do something.
I wish to say this. Our unknown friend accuses me of the murder of one Edward Seton. Now, I remember Mrs. Seton perfectly well. He was brought before me for trial in June of 1930. He was charged with the murder of an elderly woman. He was very ably defended, and he made a good impression on the jury in the witness box. Nevertheless, on the evidence, he was certainly guilty. Now I summed up accordingly, and the jury brought in a verdict of guilty. In passing sentence of death, I fully concurred with this verdict. The appeal was lodged on the grounds of misdirection. The appeal was dismissed, and the man was duly executed. I wish to say before you all that my conscience is perfectly clear on the matter. I did my duty, nothing more. I passed judgment on a rightfully convicted murderer.
Did you know Seton? I mean, personally.
I knew nothing of Seton previous to the trial.
The old boy's lying. I'll swear he's lying.
Fellow's a madman. Absolute madman. Gotta be in his bonnet. Got hold of the wrong end of the stick all round. Best really to leave this sort of thing unanswered. However, feel I ought to say, no truth. No truth whatever in what he said about young Arthur Richmond. Richmond was one of my officers. Sent him on reconnaissance in 1917. He was killed. Also like to say, resent very much slur against my wife. Been dead a long time. Best woman in the world. Absolutely. Caesar's wife.
I've just been thinking. John and Lucy Combs. Must have been a couple of kids I ran over near Cambridge. Beastly bad luck.
How's that look for you?
Well, I was thinking for me. But of course, I suppose it was bad luck for them as well. Ran out of some codge the other. Got my license suspended for a year. Beastly nuisance.
This driving's all wrong. All wrong. Young men like you are a danger to the community.
Of course, it was only purely accident.
Might I say a word, sir?
Go right ahead, Rogers.
There was a mention, sir, of me, Mrs. Rogers, and of Miss Jennifer Brady. There's not a word of truth in it. We were with Miss Brady when she died, and she was always in Port Health, sir, from the time we came to her. There was a storm, sir, the night she died, and the telephone was out of order, and we couldn't get the doctor to her. I went for him, sir, on foot. We got there too late. We'd done everything we could for Miss Brady. Devoted to her we were. And there was never a word said against us. Never a word.
Came into a nice little something at her death, I suppose.
legacy in recognition of our faithful service. And why not, I'd like to know?
What about yourself, Blore?
What about me?
Your name was on the list.
I know. Lender, right? That was the London and Commercial Bank robbery.
I remember the name. No, it did come before me. Lendo was convicted on your evidence. You were the police officer in charge of the case.
I was, Your Honor.
Lendor got penal servitude for life and died in Dartmoor a year later. He was a delicate man.
He was a crook. It was him put the night watchman out. The case was clear from the start.
You were complimented, I think, on your able handling of the case.
I got my promotion. I was only doing my duty.
Convenient word, duty. What about you, Doctor?
I'm at a loss to understand the matter. And the name meant nothing to me. I mean, what was it again? Police? Close? I really can't remember ever having a patient by that name. Or being connected to a death in any way. The whole thing is a complete mystery to me. Of course, it is a long time ago. It could potentially be one of my operation cases in hospital. See, they come in too late. So many of these people. And then when the patient dies, it's always the surgeon's fault.
And then it's better to take up nerve cases and give up surgery. Some, of course, give up alcohol.
I protest. You have no right to insinuate such things.
Oh, my dear fellow, I never suggested you did. Anyway, Mr. Unknown Owen is the only one who knows all the facts.
Miss Glencoe?
I was nursery governess to Peter Hamilton. We were in Cornwall for the summer. He was forbidden to swim out far. One day, my attention was distracted. We started off. I swam after him right away, but it was too late.
Was there an inquest?
I was exonerated by the coroner, and the mother didn't blame me either.
Thank you. Miss Brent?
I have nothing to say.
Nothing.
Nothing.
You reserve your defense?
It's not a question of defense. I've always acted according to the dictates of my conscience.
What a law-abiding lot we seem to be. Myself excepted.
We are waiting for your story, Captain Lombard.
I haven't got a story.
What do you mean?
Well, it's just that it's perfectly true. I plead guilty. I left those natives to die alone in the bush. Matter of self-preservation.
You abandoned your men?
Not quite the act of a proper gentleman, I'm afraid. But, after all, self-preservation is a man's first duty. And natives, they don't think about dying as we Europeans do.
Our inquiry rests there. Now then, Rogers. Who else is there on this island besides ourselves and you and your wife?
Nobody, sir. Nobody at all.
And you're sure of that?
Quite sure, sir.
Thank you. Don't go, Rogers. I am not yet clear as to the purpose in our unknown host in getting us to assemble here, but in my opinion, he is not sane in the accepted sense of the word. He may be dangerous. In my opinion, it would be well for us to leave this place as soon as possible. And I suggest that we leave here tonight.
I beg your pardon, sir. There's no boat on the island.
No boat at all.
No, sir.
What? Can't you just telephone to the mainland?
There's no telephone, sir. Frances Narracott, she comes over every morning. She brings the milk and the bread and the papers and the post. It's the orders.
A bit unsporting, what? I want to ferret out
out the whole mystery before we go. The whole thing is like a detective story. Positively thrilling.
At my time in life, I have no desire for twists.
The legal life's narrowing. I'm all for crime. Here's to it.
He's choking. My God. He's dead.
Dead? Do you mean he just choked and died?
You can call it choking if you like. He died of asphyxiation, right enough.
Never knew a man could die like that, just of a choking fit.
In the middle of life, we are in death.
This isn't a normal choking fit, General Mackenzie. Marston's death isn't what we would call a natural death.
Was there something in the whiskey?
Yes, possibly cyanide. Maybe potassium cyanide. Acts pretty well instantaneously.
Well, then he must have put the stuff in the glass himself.
Suicide, eh? That's a rum go.
You'd never think he would commit suicide. He was so alive. He was enjoying himself. Look. Here's one of the little soldier boys off the mantelpiece. Broken.